first question I want to ask you is you in your description you said you're a b-boy. What does b-boy mean?
Oh,
Um,
so
I thought I'll leave it to you so that you could explain it instead of googling it.
yeah, so I'm a breakdancer in the layman's terms. So a long time ago, I'd say about 15 years ago or so, I started breakdancing with a group of friends for fun. I think the inspiration behind that was watching the Jason Nevins versus Run DMC. It's like that, and I was like, cool. Oh my god, these guys are spinning around. And so I tried to do that, and I ended up hitting myself in a chair. So that
Oh,
was my first experience as a kid, trying to do stupid things. But come high school, we had one of the b boys come down and do a demo, and so I think from there it just kicked off. And I think throughout high school was on and off, and then around about uni was when I started doing it all over again with a group of friends. And that's around about 2009 is when we started creating our own crew and going to battles, doing performances. So I moved to Melbourne about 8 years ago, roughly, and I think from there I kind of stopped. But every now and then I do miss it, so I might get back into it, even though I'm like 32. But
look,
I don't think age is a restriction, to be honest.
no. It's definitely not. I don't think. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about how 70-year-olds and 80-year-olds were outrunning and outpacing like 25-year-olds. So
Yeah.
like in running. So I don't think that's a problem. Do you think that you could do any of the skills, or is it something that you have to can't like relearn, but you'll be able to relearn it
Uh,
quickly?
it's muscle memory. It's kind of like going to the gym to a certain degree, where if you were to do some sets and weights, you do remember how to do it. It's just, do you have the strength or the flexibility to do it again? So if it's the basic things, I can still do it because every now and then I'll just go into my living room, remove stuff, and just go for a quick get down. But ultimately, all the power moves, all the flips, I'll have to probably relearn it. But it shouldn't take too long. It took me about, I'd say, 3 weeks to learn a backflip when I first started, just
Wait,
for the mental part.
is
But
that is that a normal backflip or on a
a normal
trampoline?
a normal backflip on the grounds without any support.
Wow.
It's a scary thought when you try to do the first backflip because you're scared you will land funny, you freak out midway in the air. So now I think if I was to do it, I'd probably take me like a few tries and I'll probably get it down pat.
Yeah. Well, I did. I've done a backflip a couple of times on a trampoline. I taught it over like 3 days on a trampoline, and then it was at my mate's house, and then I never did a backflip again for about 3 weeks, and then went to his house again. So I had to relearn it, and basically the first time I did it, I landed on my neck. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna do
Oh
that again.
yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah,
kind of bounced off, and I was probably say 12. So how heavy would I have been? Like 40 kilos. So there was no impact, but it's scary.
yeah, it's. I think it's more of a mental thing. You think and how you keep your form. Because if you were, I'd say, if you're in the air midway doing a backflip and you freak out, you're more prone to getting injured. I've seen a few people do that, and that's why when we were, I guess, training at Uni SA. So I'm originally from Adelaide, and Uni SA let us use their facilities every Friday. So that would be our, I guess, gymnastic sessions, and we would help people learn to overcome it. But I have had close calls landing on my neck, but I guess for me it was more about trying to recover from it. So I can gladly say I've never injured myself doing a backflip.
Right. Okay. And you mentioned something. What was it called? A battle? I'm from
Oh.
the. I'm a Gen a millennial, so I don't know much about this culture. I haven't even watched Fight Club, so I don't even know anything. So what is exactly is a battle? Or
Okay, yeah. So a battle is essentially just kind of like you dance off, typically speaking, against other b-boys, if that makes sense. So normally, about I'd say every month or so, there would be a hosted area that would people just have competitions where crews would verse each other. It's kind of like a typical tournament format. You get knocked out, etc., to the finals, and it's fun. You get to know people. You have the drive to kind of then become, train harder, become better, things like that. So I think it was great. Whilst I was young, well, not really young, but not working, being able to just go to these events with your crew, rock up. battle, dance, and then go out afterwards.
Sounds like a dream, honestly. Just imagine, people now just it's basically esport, not esports like Fortnite, but 10 years ago, you go out go to an arena or something like that, and then you battle it out, and then you go out after to town afterwards. Um,
Yeah, pretty much. It's yeah, it was an interesting. I do wish sometimes I could go to those events, even here in Melbourne, but it's just I live so far away from the city. It just becomes not really a nuisance, but more so you just get too lazy to travel back and forth. But I do miss those events, and every now and then I'd watch some competitions, and it's great. Like it's matured since I last tried to compete from a b-boy perspective.
it's like you said, it's very expensive to travel. For AO, I think we spent like over $100 traveling between like the city and back. I think it was I can't remember where we stayed. It was like Wadpinga or something. I'll get the
Yeah,
real name, but it costs so much money to go in between the city and the surrounding areas, and it takes like 40 minutes to get there as well.